Out there, which is very close to us and very easy to find out. And it's going to take a while, and it's going to take kids like that who charge you per week and have no idea where you're going. But charting out a course in this direction is a vital issue. I'd agreed with Joe William that I would have you guys raise your hand and send out a mic, because I don't want you to leave here with the feeling that there's some shock value to this conversation, but not enough value for me or for the things that I work with or the questions I have. So I wanted to invite you to raise your hand and try to come up with things that would make this really useful to you as you go back. Now, we have someone with the mics?
We have mics over there.
Where? So he has a mic there. So I just wanted to invite you to ask a few questions, and I have a few more comments for you, but I wanted to make sure that you feel that the vital issues that you come up with in a first reaction like this are addressed.
Over here.
Just say your name first, please.
Yes, my name is Martine Maas. Nice to meet you. You were talking about the different methods or ways for payments, like why not pay for 10 minutes or for software in your head. Well, there are some experiments with paying for services afterwards according to the value for the guest or for the client. Still, I see it really small, in small experiments. Some people try to do it, but it didn't really work out. It's like we're all conservative, maybe, I don't know. So do you know about these kind of experiments, and what's your feeling about it?
Yeah, our experience too, we have some consulting businesses. We have the largest environmental consulting business in Brazil, which is on a billable basis, et cetera. Every time we go and talk to customers about success fees, they're scared because they think, one, that the metrics could be difficult and therefore they could end up paying more than they think is worth. Two, that they're concerned that you might find an easy solution to something that they should have seen before, and then suddenly they're paying you a big part of it. And in most cases, these people are defending themselves to a board or to someone else who says, look, I hired Pricewaterhouse. They're the ones who do it. This is McKinsey who told me to do this, and Bain said that I shouldn't do that. And that is very valuable currency in a world in which managers are very insecure. For you to find an entrepreneur who is willing to do something on a success, it must be much easier than you finding a director, region, Europe of a large corporation, because these people are covering their asses in many respects by saying, no, like I hired, and here's a report, and here's what they did, and so forth. But you are selling to people who are in extinction. That's the problem with that. Now, they're not extinct fast enough for you to change it overnight. They'll die off slowly, but painfully. But the fact is that is being gone. So the question is, how can you develop? And this is not the old, let's say, success fee rationale, which is scary to companies. It's much more like we're buying these guys. We're buying this Agile software. What is Agile consulting, let's say, right? It's something that says, look, this is one thing that we were doing for one of these customers, is developing a whole set of internal coaches that they can find and that they can put in on their video very quickly when they need, et cetera. When you say, look, I'm going to buy TagWord, you're going to pull up questions that you have or that anyone has, and instead of me putting together enormous programs for you, we'll agree what area I'm working on. And I'm going to charge you per minute every time I show up and every time somebody asks me. And every time it goes over so many thousand euros, you'll get a notice and so forth. There are ways in which people could get accustomed slowly to the idea, because what they're buying and paying for now, they're doing within the parameters of a company that's spending enormous amounts of money anyway. But they know it's not smart. They know that the legal fees they pay to a large office of millions of dollars to do a deal, an M&A, where the guy's just pulling out all kinds of boilerplate things and negotiating a few adaptations. They know, and in consulting as well, they know what part of that is really useful and what part of that is necessary. The rest, they think they have to buy because that's the way the market has been structured. But I think if they start realizing that you could do it per minute, per app, per other formats, I think that the difference is that in a couple of years, you'll come out far ahead. When you look at the guy who founded, for example, Napster, you'd say, oh, poor guy, you know, he was at the wrong time, he got hit by everyone at the same time, he ceased to exist. But he has resuscitated in the form of Spotify in Sweden. And so this consulting thing, it will necessarily resuscitate, and it will start from people who are saying, no, I don't buy it that way, I'm accustomed. Why? Because there is a comfort zone. The comfort zone of call in the consultants, tell them I need a thing for this, give me a proposal, compare the proposals, approve this one, get the time to do it. Then it doesn't really happen, but it's late, but we reschedule and we restart this, and the result wasn't really the one I wanted, but it's okay, and I show it to my board. That is known, and that's a proven format. It's an awful proven format, but it's proven. And so the idea that you can stick to this because the customer is still accustomed to this way of doing things, I don't think is a good reason. It's almost like a good excuse for not moving ahead. But I think forcing yourself to find completely new ways to build, to offer, and especially to move into the digital platform, to be able to move in to the digital world of the customer, inside the customer, where today you're not permitted, which is already stupid. There's no reason for everything not to happen inside an SAP platform or something that's already inside the customer. But this world in which everything is done on a cloud, where everybody can change everything on a document that's there, that's a very difficult rationale. But again, if I were sitting here, how long ago? 12, 15 years ago, in a convention of Encyclopedia Britannica people, and I were explaining Wikipedia to them, do you think they would have bought? Nobody would have bought, no? They would have said, that's crazy. So you're saying that anybody can go in there and change anything they want on my encyclopedia? Yeah. That's what happened, right? Anybody can go in there and change anything they want any day of the week. So I think here, the fact that today customers are rejecting a success fee or other things, it has to do with insecurity only. Their personal insecurity, the fear that the value is going to be too high, the fear that you're not going to deliver accordingly. It's just fear, fear, fear. And fear is not a good reason not to do things. So that I think it will change, and it will change relatively quickly, 5 to 10 years. But we've also seen that these changes are so dramatic and they are so based on the trustworthiness of what you're doing. Sometimes it's an ethical problem, it's a reputational problem, but it's the trustworthiness of what you do. I'm sure everybody here was shocked at how long it took for one of the finest and most solid consulting companies, auditing companies, Arthur Andersen, to disappear. It took 16 days. Who here would have said that in 16 days Arthur Andersen would be gone? Anybody, ever? If I tell you today, PricewaterhouseCoopers could be gone 16 days from now. I say, oh, forget that. It's not possible. It's completely possible. It just depends on who they were auditing and what the size of the problem was. Of one guy. We're talking about Volkswagen losing a third of their market value due to one issue on one of the parameters of fuel emission. That costs $25 billion. So I think what we need to realize is that even if we don't yet know, and I have no idea where it's going to go, what direction, as we were testing with these legal fees and so forth, there is a new format which has to do with the digital world, which has to do with not having guarantees, which has to do with not working on contracts, which has to do with not with constant forcing yourself to produce billable hours, forcing people to have a higher billability per person, because this is a program that is about you. It's not about the customer, it's not about the guest. You're doing something which is good for you. And as long as you do something that's good for you, and Hollywood does something that's good for them, and the record industry does something good for them, somebody else will finish your business for you. Here There's 3 at this table here. He's coming with a mic. Yeah.
I'm Willem Bakker. I'm not a consultant. I've got several companies, concrete production and transportation and things like that. And when I listen to your story, I recognize some feelings about consultants and same education. And when they advise me, I say, okay, I know this. It's not new. And when I listen to your story, I may have a disruptor because I'm interested in giving consults to other entrepreneurs as well. And is there a place, that's the question, is there a place for consultants in the future? Because if you have like a platform like Uber, the licensed, the certified taxi drivers are no longer necessary. And that could be the same for the future of consultants.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we were talking to one of these companies which are by our guys in the private equity business, and we said, look, you have 104,000 people. Let's do a quick map of competencies, skills, and abilities of these 140,000. They'll fill something out, and then we'll keep updating it, and we'll have an algorithmic, a big data of all the companies here. And then we'll take some items, and we'll ask people whether they want to coach on those items, okay? And the guy said, well, I can coach about, in accounting, about declaring futures in the income tax bracket of, okay, great. I know about chickens and how to cut, okay. So once you have that, you have a system whereby on anybody's desktop, you can call up in an Uber-like fashion, you can call up those 18 consultants anywhere in the world, internal coaches, who could tell you something about that. The same thing will be true about management abilities, career abilities, and so forth. The consultant, in many respects, people have a basic assumption, which I also don't think is correct, which is that, the consultant is somebody I hired to come and tell me what I already know, and so forth. The consultant is, in many respects, like a therapist. You know, why is it good to go to a therapist? You're good to go to a therapist because he has the exception and the fact that he's not involved, and because he's looking at other patients, he has the ability to recognize some of the things which you won't recognize yourself. And you say you already know them. You don't already know them. You should have already know them. But you might not know them for the rest of your life. And a therapist is somebody who's going to help you understand the outside and the inside. And then there's all kinds of technical skills which have to do with implementing other things within the company. But the idea that you're looking at somebody from the outside who's going to have an impartial view, is going to be able to see through and help you, etc., there's nothing wrong with that, and we use that in our personal lives as well. To imagine that there's a future relatively soon in which everyone who has left McKinsey, which must be at least 18,200 people who are ready to consult and who are early retired, these people and all of the people in the world who think that they can help someone, including people who don't have a background as consultants, where people just have a business experience, it's an enormous amount of people. So will it take very long for someone to set up an app that has 1.3 million potential consultants who are willing to work on a minute basis by not moving outside their house? Of course it's going to happen. Will that disrupt the consulting business? To an extent it will. To an extent it will also increase interest in consulting in general. So there's an education process which is good for everyone. But I think it does mean getting ready for a world in which you're no longer, it won't be easy anymore to get a meeting with the right director and showing up with some MBAs with great suits and great PowerPoint presentation. I think that world is finished. You know, recently I went to do a PowerPoint presentation to a guy at the company. I always say, is this a power to the point presentation or not? And we took one and said, make it very short, because this guy, owned a very large paper and pulp business. And he said he has a very short attention span. We said, what's his attention? I don't know, about a minute and a half. Okay. So we took a very short one, which had only 5 slides. And we told him, he said, it only has 5 slides, okay? Okay. And we watched the first one, and then the second one. The second one was, we were demonstrating a system that changes very quickly all of the numbers of operating an entity, and there was a picture of a plant and a helicopter on the top, and it was slightly reduced to fit the size. We went, we showed that one, explained the operation, went to the next one, and he came back and said, can you go back to the other one? I said, oh, he's interested. So we got back there. Number 2. And he said, that helicopter there, is it really low, or is it your... No, it's the sun. Oh, okay. And he picked up the phone and he went to talk to someone else. So the fact is that the attention span of everybody has gone away. It's not diminished. It's gone away. There's almost nothing I can show you now which has 52 slides, 15 this, 14 that, 20 pages, 40 pages. This is all gone. And so speaking to a customer, to the world, in 2-3 minutes is something you need to do. No? Today I asked, I said, how long is the talk today? He said, 45 minutes, an hour. Oh, okay. Well, then, that's easy. The other day we went to do a TED talk, and they said, 12 minutes. After 12 minutes and 3 seconds, all kinds of lights start going on. People start screaming and so forth. So the fact is that it is being diminished. Your time is also being diminished in everything you do. Will there be a new one which is digital-based with apps, with things where you're working from home, where you don't move anywhere? Of course there will. Will it take long? I don't think so. I think it's a couple of years. And so how do you prepare for that first? It's realizing that the organizations as they exist, as they have been consolidated, they are at an end. I think we have time for another 2 questions, you say?